In the Leviathan, Thomas Hobbes argues that the state is a creation of human beings in a state of nature, in a miserable condition of war and fear, of humans who want to leave this condition and do so by creating an all-powerful sovereign whose authority must be obeyed. The second great departure in Hobbes' philosophy from the tradition of Aristotle is in his vision of what the human being is and what the purpose of the human being is. Hobbes lives in the age of the scientific revolution, the 17th century, and we see in Hobbes a new image of the human being come to influence the nature of political thought. And in the philosophy of Thomas Hobbes, we see a new image of the human being, influenced by the scientific revolution, come to impact political thought, a trend that we'll see culminate in the 18th century. Aristotle, in his ethics and in his politics, argues that human beings have a nature, and central to this nature is their capacity for speech and their capacity for moral reason. And Aristotle argues that humans can only achieve the fullness of their nature in political society. But remember what Aristotle says about the purpose of human life. Aristotle's politics are based in his teleological view of nature. That is, Aristotle believes that things in nature have a telos. They have an end, a purpose, an aim, towards which they tend by their nature. And Aristotle thinks this is true of human beings. Aristotle thinks that humans have a purpose, a telos. And for Aristotle, this purpose is eudaimonia, happiness or flourishing. Aristotle thinks that the purpose of human life is to flourish. And recall what Aristotle says about human flourishing. Aristotle says that human flourishing, or happiness, eudaimonia, is that which is the ultimate end of human life, not something that we seek for the sake of something else. And so when Aristotle describes the nature of this good that is the end of human life, he lays out criteria for it. And he says, for instance, that it is the thing which we seek, the final good, not something that we seek for the sake of something else. And so consider wealth. Aristotle says wealth is not the ultimate good of human life. Wealth, being rich, isn't the purpose of life, Aristotle would say. But Aristotle says being rich is good because it can be an instrument, it can be a tool, a way towards getting at the highest good, which is flourishing. And so Aristotle distinguishes between these kind of intermediate or instrumental goods and the ultimate good, which is flourishing itself. And for Aristotle, flourishing, happiness, is the life lived according to virtue. It is the life lived in the action of virtue according to the use of reason. And so for Aristotle, there is such a thing as a good life, and it can be achieved in action through the use of reason, living virtuously according to reason. And so for Aristotle, there's a vision of what it means to be a good person. It's to be a virtuous person, an active person, involved in your polis, leading, or even better, being a philosopher in this context. So Aristotle has a definite idea of the end of human being. Hobbes turns away from this vision. In the Leviathan, he says explicitly, there is no finis ultimus. There is no summum bonum, as in the old philosophers. What that means is there is no ultimate end, finis ultimus. There is no summum bonum. There is no highest good. Thomas Hobbes says there is no end of being a human being, that we aren't endowed by nature with a purpose. In fact, Hobbes says there is no end because our desires are continuous. You can no more reach a state of completion than you can stop your mental processes. They are ongoing. Hobbes says that felicity or happiness is the continuous pursuit of desires. Think about what that means, that felicity, happiness, is a continuous progress of our desires from one object to the next. There is no point of satiation. And so picture the different images of human life and its purpose that we see in Aristotle and in Hobbes. Aristotle imagines people moving towards some end, some purpose that is embedded within us as part of our nature, that we can achieve in a life that is lived virtuously. Aristotle sees virtue as the end of human life. Hobbes sees the pursuit of self-interest as the purpose of human life. And here, just as much as in his different conception of the state and the state of nature, Hobbes, with his vision of the human being as a creature who has desires that are insatiable, we see the beginning of a new view of humans that would forever change the course of political thought.